G'day and welcome to day 4 of the 12 days of crochet. So let's get straight into it. Today's clue was this creature had to have a specially crafted couch for it to stop it destroying thousands of dollars of property. It's probably closer to tens of thousands, but we'll say thousands to be conservative. So let's just find box number 4 and see who we're making today. Sorry, buddy. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the video for a clue as to who we are making on day 5. So there is box number 4. Did you guys guess it? That's right. Today we are making an Arctic walrus. Because why wouldn't we be? Yeah, basically there was an Arctic walrus that swam into a harbour and was absolutely terrorising the marina by sinking boats because he kept trying to climb up on them to have a nap. So they built him a specially crafted floating couch and floated that on out to him, and now he chills out on that and leaves the boats alone. And I think that's wonderful. So yeah, he is going to take us about 35 minutes to make, so let's get started. So yeah, I thought that day 4 is a good time to introduce something a little bit different. Womp. So to make your Arctic walrus today, you are going to need 8-ply 100% acrylic yarn in 2 colours. You're going to need basically a brown for the walrus and some white for his tusks. Now you can absolutely use safety eyes for him if you would prefer, but I'm going to be sewing eyes on for mine today, so I'm going to need a needle and a scrap amount of black. If you're using safety eyes, I recommend the 9mm safety eyes that I've used for the rest of this series. Other than that, you're just going to need a 3.5mm hook, scissors, a bobby pin just to help you keep track of the end of your rows, and of course some stuffing, which has been on the desk the whole time. So I should mention that while it's the Arctic walrus specifically that's made the Mischief list for me, you could absolutely make one of these in grey and just skip the tusks and it would be a perfectly serviceable elephant seal. Just a very chubby one. Boop. So, grabbing our brown, we're going to start with a magic ring of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then row 2 is a single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. A single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And then 2 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1 and 2. So that is the end of his great honkin' nose, and you should have 10 stitches in your round. So in the next row, we're going to be building tusks. So we're going to start by working 4 single crochet, changing to our white in the 4th stitch. So that's 2, that's 3, and this 4th one, we're going to work our color change. Then to make our tusks, we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Turn, starting in the 2nd chain from our hook, work 3 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3. And then in the final white chain, we're going to work a single crochet, changing back to our brown. Going back to working into the stitches of the nose, we're going to work 1 brown single crochet, changing back to our white. And we're going to work a 2nd tusk. So chaining 5, turning, working 3 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3. And then a single crochet, changing back to our brown. 2nd tusk accomplished. Going back to working into the stitches of our round, we're going to work 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there are our teeth, chomp chomp. And we're going to trim off our white because we won't be needing it again. So row 4 starts with a single crochet, then a single crochet 3 together. Now all that is a decrease over 3 stitches instead of 2. So there are 2 ways to work that. There's probably more, but there are 2 ways I know of to work that. One is a standard way where you just insert your hook through the 1st stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, insert your hook through the 2nd stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, insert your hook through a 3rd stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you've got 4 loops in total on your hook, and you yarn over and you pull through all 4. So that is a single crochet 3 together done the standard way. But there's also an invisible way to do it, which is what you'll see me doing more often. You just pick up the front loops only of the 3 stitches you want to decrease over, yarn over and pull up a loop through all 3, leaving you with just 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through those loops to finish off your stitch. Either form of decrease is perfectly fine for this pattern, and occasionally there'll be a really tricky spot where I'll swap to using standard decreases, and if I'm doing that I will let you know, but otherwise if I don't say so, I'm definitely working the invisible ones. There's that. Then I'm going to fold this tusk forward, and in the brown stitch between the 2 tusks we're going to work a single crochet. There we go. Pop that tooth back down, fold the second tusk forward, and we're going to work another single crochet 3 together. 1, 2, 3. Then it's just 2 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1 and 2. Okay, so his great honkin' nose and his little teeth are now complete. So for row 5, we're going to start with 2 increases. So that's 1. And that's 2. 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And then 2 more increases. 1 and 2. So that should bring our row back up to 10 stitches around. Row 6 is a single crochet, an increase, a single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, two single crochet under the teeth, 1 and 2, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, single crochet, an increase, and a single crochet to bring us back to the start of our round. And we should have 16 stitches in total. Row 7 is 6 single crochet, an increase, two single crochet, an increase, and then 6 single crochet back to the start of our round. Row 8 starts with 7 single crochet, an increase, 2 single crochet, an increase, and then 7 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, and then row 9 is 8 single crochet, an increase, three single crochet, an increase, and then 7 single crochet back to the start of our row. So that should leave you with 22 stitches in your round and a fine bulbous head starting to form. So for row 10, we're going to start with 2 single crochet and a decrease and 15 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, and 15. Then a decrease and a single crochet to bring us back to the start of our round. So row 11 is actually the same as row 9 was. We start with 8 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8, an increase, 3 single crochet, an increase, and then 7 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, 6, and 7. Row 12 is then just 22 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 21, and 22. So in row 13, we're going to start making his little flippers. So we start by working 7 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, leading you to about halfway down the first side. And we're going to put 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're then going to make a small confession and tell you that this is the only pattern that involves front post single crochet, and it is upon us. If you do not like working front post single crochet, you can approximate this pattern just by working regular single crochet here, but I do recommend front post to get the proper blobs to his body. We've been working regular single crochet this whole time, but when you're working front post single crochet, you work your hook instead of through the loops, you work it around the post of the stitch. So because we are working front post single crochet, we are going to be working around the post of the stitch by inserting a hook from the front of the work around the post back to the front of the work. So, and then just yarning over, pulling up a loop around the post, and then yarning over to complete our stitch. It's a visual difference and it's a structural difference, and it just sort of makes the fabric of the crochet behave a little differently. So that's kind of why we're doing them here today. That is our first one, and we need 8 in total across the front. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now we're going back to working through the loops, but before we do, what I would like you to do is count backwards from your hook and make sure you can identify 26 stitches in the round the way it currently sits. That's just going to stop you from gaining or losing a stitch here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 26 there. All right. If you do that, you will not lose a stitch here and you will not gain additional stitches here either. So going back to working through both loops of our stitches, we're going to put 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 5 single crochet back to the start of our row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and we should now have 30 stitches in our round. And you can see those front post stitches there, giving us this nice little ridge. It's going to give us this nice little roll as well. So, row 14 starts with 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Then 2 repeats of a single crochet and an increase. So that's our first one. We're going to do it again. Single crochet and increase. We're then going to work 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and 4 repeats of an increase and a single crochet. So there is our first one. We're going to work 3 more of those across the front here. Increase, single crochet, that's 2, increase, single crochet, that's 3, increase, and single crochet, that is 4. Then it's just 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. A single crochet and 3 more repeats of a single crochet and an increase. These walruses, they take their increases seriously. So that's 1. We're going to do that 2 more times. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase. Now, if you are choosing to use safety eyes and you haven't already, now is an excellent time for you to pop them into the head, just on either side of the schnoz. Should do the trick. Keep in mind that these 2 like wide bits where we've been doing our 5 into the same stitch are going to form his flippers. So that should give you some indication of up, given that the tusks aren't always the most well-behaved part of this. I'm going to be sewing eyes on, so I'm not going to worry about that step at this point. Okay, so row 15 starts with 18 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 16, 17, 18. Then 3 repeats of a decrease and 2 single crochet. 1, 2. That's 1. It's 2. And that is 3. And then it's just 17 single crochet back around to the start of our row. 2, 3, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So we should have 44 stitches in our round, but it's going to get a lot thinner very quickly. We're past the hump here, both figuratively and literally. Row 16 starts with 2 repeats of a single crochet and a decrease. So that's 1 single crochet and decrease. That's 2. Then 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to skip 9 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And so the 10th stitch from your hook is the next stitch you're going to work into. And we're just going to fold this whole piece out so that that 10th stitch is right next to where we currently are attached. And we're going to work 5 decreases. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to skip 9 stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the 10th stitch from our hook. And we're going to work 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then a decrease. So that should leave you with 18 stitches in your round and 2 little flippery fins that can't quite clap. Oh, they can. Clap, clap. Row 17 is 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then a decrease. Single crochet 3 together. And a decrease. 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then for the final stitch of this row, we are going to be working a front post single crochet. So that's the same as we did them before, leaving you with 14 stitches in your round. And row 18 starts with 4 more front post single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is the final front post single crochet for this particular pattern and for the 12 days of crochet. So now we're going to go back to working through both loops. So I want you to count backward from your hook until you find the 14th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that's where we're going to be working our stitch. And we're going to work 9 single crochet around. 1, 2, 7, 8, and 9. And then into the final stitch of the round, we're going to put an increase. Row 19 starts with 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, then an increase. 2 single crochet, a single crochet 3 together, and then 6 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Row 20 is then just 14 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, and 14. So at this point, we're going to take a small break to stuff our walrus. You're going to want to make sure that some of that stuffing gets into that nose and everywhere else. There we go. So that's what we currently look like. So we're now just building up and finishing off a little bit of a tail. So row 21 starts with 3 decreases. 1, 2, 3. Then 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 2 decreases back to the start of our round. Then 9 single crochet. 1, 2, 8, and 9. Row 23 starts with a decrease. And then it's just 7 single crochet back to the start. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. And I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing at this point. You should basically just stuff as you go for what remains. Row 24 is 8 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8. And now we have to just make some little, like, I don't know if they count as tail fins or feet, honestly. They're a little bit odd, but they're wonderful. So row 25 is 2 repeats of 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our first repeat, and we're going to do it again. 3 single crochet. And then 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 row to go. So row 26 is again 2 repeats of 3 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3. Then 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. So that's our first repeat. Then we do it again. 3 slip stitches. 2, 3, 2 single crochet. 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. And 2 single crochet. We are then just going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and finish off. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail here just to help us close off a few areas. There we go. So we just have a few finishing details to add to our fellow. First off, I'm going to put just a little bit more stuffing in my tail. Yum, 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 yum. And all I'm going to do to close this tail off is I'm going to like flatten it horizontally. The stitches should help it form two curves basically. And I'm just going to pair up sets of front loops all the way up one side and then up the other as well to close this. You could basically just sew it shut however you please. The pairing of the front loops thing is basically this year's theme. Skipping stitches and sewing bits shut, but my goodness, the shapes it allows me to make. And all of you as well. That's one side sewn shut. We're going to do the other. There we go. So with the tail sewn shut, we're going to do the same thing for each of the flippers. If you're lucky, you can use your flippers. Use your flippers to get down. Okay, so when we formed these two flippers, we skipped 9 stitches in total. So if you flatten them out, you should have 4 pairs of stitches up the length and then 1 stitch at the end. And you should very easily be able to weave your yarn through the front loops of each pair. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then up through the final front loop and back down into the body. Hoping this little bit of brown is going to be enough, but I don't know if it will be. There we go. That's one flipper done. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Oh my goodness, are we going to make it? We are. Look at that. I'll just use my hook to pull that the rest of the way in, but my goodness, that's a relief. Give everything a good squidge to settle it down. So now all I need to do is add the eyes. And I've done these eyes for a lot of them, but this is the first one that you guys are seeing of it. Basically, it's just a little black spot with a little white dot in the middle of it. So I just take a little black, work out where I want the eyeball to be. And I work a couple of little tiny stitches just in the same spot. Again on the other side. You've got to try and make them the same size. Then just thread that out to finish that off. We trim. Then we come back along with a little bit of white and just, yeah, stitch a little white speck into the middle of each of the little black circles. Or each of the little black patches, I should say. There we go. So there are my wee little peepers. Now, my teeth are misbehaving a little bit here too. So if I wanted to, I could use my yarn here to kind of lock them into position, but I'm not going to because I'm perfectly fine with them waggling around a little bit, but you could absolutely just stitch them down to the chest where they go, which would stop them like flinging themselves all over the place. I think all my ends are tucked in. There he is. Make sure you make room on the couch or he'll sink all of your boats. Buddies! Whap, 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 whap. So there is day 4 done. Don't forget to share your photos of your little walruses over on the Discords for a chance for them to show up in tomorrow's slideshow. And I know what you're waiting for. I do. You want a clue for day 5. And that's okay. Just give me a second. Set this up. Okay, so your clue for day 5, frankly day 5 is on this list because of the general vibe, but your clue for day 5 is that they scream like people. Day 5 is also going to be the longest pattern of this series. It takes about 50 minutes and you are going to need a red or an orange and a white and either a black or a dark grey. So if you think you know what we're making, please leave your guesses down in the comments and I will let you know tomorrow how many people guess it correctly. But yeah, I hope to see you there. Okay, bye. All right, folks, I want credit because not once yesterday did I refer to the making of our ravens as crochet. And while it is a murder of crows, it's actually a conspiracy of ravens. So thank you all for conspiring with me today. I refuse to call it an unkindness because just like, look how sweet they all are. And just finally, a quick reminder that any photos that don't quite make the cutoff time will still show up over the course of the full 12 days and in the day 13 wrap-up video.